This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, welcome back everyone. In the previous video, we have looked into how you put up requirements in user stories, right? And also we looked into, or we rather started looking into the test cases. How is it written? Let me clear this point that creation of test cases is not always a responsibility of the business analyst. Then your next logical question is, why should we really look into it? So the thing is that in quite a lot of projects out there, not just in startups and smaller companies, but even in bigger MNCs and all, uh, the role of business analyst is a little uh, fluid. What do I mean by that is, apart from the major work of uh, having a thorough understanding of the project and detailing it out and documenting and all, you can be expected to take up some additional responsibilities. And one of the most common additional responsibility that comes to the BA, if not at mid senior level, a little below that, is that you should also be taking care of the creation of the test cases. Of course, you'll be working along with the QAs to do this. So maybe a section of these test cases you'll be creating, another section of different feature or functionality will be created by another tester, so on and so forth. But it's always a good thing to know how to create. So that is where we are coming from and trying to understand. Okay. So we looked at the different columns. Now let's use examples to know these things better. Okay. So here, if you see, test case ID had mentioned that you just give a unique identifier for every test case. That is what you're doing here. Then functionality page you mentioned which functionality is it that is going to be covered as part of this test case. Then within that functionality, is there any specific feature or a name that you want to uh, target as part of this test case? So here, if you see, out of stock liner, which is nothing but you mentioned that out of stock line right below the size option, saying out of stock reserve slash notify me. So that line, that hyperlink, that is the specific feature within the notify me functionality that you want to test using this test case. Okay. Now you're saying, what is it that you want to test in this hyperlink? You're saying validate the auto stock threshold configuration and the auto stock liner for the device variant. Means what? If you remember, we have seen this particular point, right? Do we have it in this document? Yes. So here you have this particular auto stock, below that reserve slash notify me link. Now this has to be displayed at what time? I mean, not time in the sense, not specific date and time, but under what scenarios? When the particular product is out of stock, right? So what do you mean by out of stock? That is the next question. Now let's say Amazon has 100 units of a specific variant available right now, but it isn't so much in demand that 100 customers have already raised a request for it, and all these 100 units have got booked. So you're left with zero. So do you want to display this link only when this number of units left with Amazon is zero? Is that really how it works? Or sometimes Amazon may say, no, I don't want to wait till zero. I need to have a reserve stock. I want to have a safe stock, maybe 3 units or 5 units for my own benefit, because I want to use it for display purpose at my physical store outlets, or I might want it to use it for some other purpose, where for some campaigns or for some advertisements or something like that. So Amazon may say, no, I want to maintain a stock of 3 units. So right now I have 100, but the moment it reaches down to 3, means 97 units have been booked. At that point itself, you display this link. You get my point? Amazon doesn't want to sell off all 100, wants to retain 3 of them. So 100 is the stock right now. Threshold will be set at 3, saying when the stock available reaches 3, then itself display this link. Okay, now you want to test if it is really working like that or not. Or else what happens? You don't maintain any threshold, then it becomes zero, and still the orders will be placed and still the orders will be taken. That will put in Amazon into losses, because customers will say, I have raised an order, I have got an order confirmation, why are you not giving it? All those things will happen. So to avoid that, what you're saying is, I want to validate the threshold configured to ensure that it happens at the right point of time. Is there any dependency or precondition? Maybe you can say the threshold value should be known beforehand. That can be a dependency here. Now we are saying what are the steps to be carried out. Okay, so here if you see, there are three steps mentioned. What is the first step? The first step says user navigates to the GSM, leave GSM, but phone details page in this website to get the details of phone variant. Here it is mention of a previous phone model, but you can take the latest one, iPhone 15 Gold 256 GB. Okay, so what you're saying, the first step is user should come to this particular page in the website. Second condition, in the backend, set the configured value for the threshold. Means set the auto stock threshold in the backend CMS system. Set it as 3 quantity and the stock as 2. Means what you're saying is stock can actually be, it should actually be more than 3, but okay. For understanding, I think you get your point. So what you're saying is at the backend you need to set that threshold value. So set it at 3 and then set the quantity at some 10 or 5 and see if that link is visible. And next time what you do, set that stock availability at 3 and see if you are showing the link or not. And then you somehow reduce it to 2 and see if it is visible or not, that link. These are the things that you want to check. Okay, so you're saying set the auto stock threshold in the backend, then set the stock value also backend like this. And now you go to the phone details page after selecting the same model, verify if user is able to see the link or not. Because if 3 are the units left, stock is 3 and threshold is 3, in that point of time if customer is raising a request, then what should happen? These 3 are for the safe stock for Amazon, right? So it cannot sell these 3 units. So at that time it should say no, we have already run out of stock, so display the link. That should happen. So is that happening or not? Now what you're saying after the second point, the third point is change the auto stock threshold to 1. Is there at least 3 units should be there with Amazon, right? Set change it to 1 and see the order stock quantity as 2 and see if the out of link line is still visible. Ideally what should happen? It should not display the out of stock line, right? Because you have 2 units of this phone with you and the threshold is 1, means you're saying I need this one phone for myself, I don't want to sell this, but still you're left with one phone which you can sell it off, right? So if a customer requests for it, you can give it, so you don't have to show the out of stock line to this customer, right? So you should remove that line in that case. So you're saying these are the steps to be carried out to do the testing. Okay, after giving the step description, what is the next thing you're doing? You're saying what is the expected result. I already told you what is expected result. Expected result in step 2 is when the threshold is 3 and the stock is also 3, the hyperlink should be visible because you cannot sell even single phone. Whereas in the next line, the expected result is once the QA is testing this particular step, since the threshold is 1 but available at 2, you can sell. So now it is not out of stock. So it should not display the out of stock hyperlink. These are the expected results. Now you see actual result. The QA will test it later. I mean, when you're creating test case, this will be blank, of course. You'll have actual result column blank everywhere because the test case has been created, but it has not been executed. It has not been run. This will also be blank, and these things, test parameter, I did give you an example, right? What is username, what is the password, what is the threshold quantity that you have seen, what should be threshold quantity set, what should be stock quantity. So here you can say the name is 1, then password is one more parameter, then threshold is one more parameter, and the 4 parameters. Test data, you can say admin, and that's username, admin1, say it is the password, and the threshold is 2 and 3 and 1. Stock is again how much? 3 and 2. This is the test data. Test trail path, you can leave it for now. System, if you like your project is big enough where you have to check a app, website, and other portal and all those things, then you're mentioning this test case is to be tested in which portal, which system. So you can actually ignore it. Designer understood, other scenario, you can keep it blank for now. So this is one test case. What's the second test case here? You're saying again you want to test the auto stock liner. Means there is something else also that needs to be tested here. What is it? Verify that auto stock liner appears only for the variant that is auto stock. What does it imply? So here if I see only this is auto stock. These are not auto stock 64 GB, 500 GB. So this link should be available only here. It should not be here and here. It doesn't make sense to have it, right? But you need to test it, because if it is not tested you miss it out, and at the later point of time it might be that this unit is available but still you show the notify me link here, this is available but still you show. So that thing should be avoided. For that what you're doing is you're saying it should not be there. Dependency, you're setting these values: variant 1, variant 2, variant 3. For variant 1 stock quantity should be greater than threshold. For variant 2 stock quantity should be again greater than threshold, but for stock variant 3 stock quantity should be less than the out of stock threshold. These are the values that should be sent. You're saying this is a precondition. Step description, you're mentioning this: verify that the auto stock liner is displayed only for those variants that are actually auto stock. Okay, and it should not be at the model level. What is the model level? Model is iPhone 15 here. Variant is iPhone 15 gold or yellow 256 GB. That is the variant. So you are saying this out of stock liner is not at model level, iPhone 15 level. It is at that specific color and size combination level. That is what you want to test in this use case. So you mentioned that, then you're saying what is the steps, what is the expected result, then remaining things remain as it is. Now again, my question, do you think these two test cases are enough? What about testing all the other things? What is coming in the pop-up window? What is the message that is being sent? Are you displaying the images in the email or not? Are you displaying the hyperlink in the messages or not? Are you sending the message to those people as apology whose request for order could not be completed within next 2 3 days? Are you adding any additional incentives as required for certain mails? All of these you're saying should be there in requirements, but it has to be tested, right? So for testing you need to write the test cases. Let me take you to the next tab. Here you see roughly how many test cases are there. Quite a lot, right? 30 odd, I think. 32. There are 32 test cases that have been written for this one notify me link. You understand? Now let me randomly pick up some examples so that you can, this and all these two we have already checked into it. Now based on test description. So what are the major columns? If you see, I would say test description is one, test case description is one, and step description is one, and your expected result and actual result. These are the most important columns. All of the things are also going to give you the additional information, but the core information is available in these four columns. Okay, your test case description, your step description, then you have your expected result and the actual result. Okay, so here if I say verify that the user is redirected to one login if user has not logged in previously. So what am I saying? Customer has clicked on the link, but the problem is customer is not logged in. So are you showing him the login page if he has not logged in before or not? For that you have created test case. What is the precondition? User should not have logged in and variant should be out of stock. Notify me should be turned on. And then you are saying user should be navigated on phone details, clicks on notify me link. After successful login, verify the user is redirected to this page or not. These are step description. You're giving the expected result, and then the actual result will come when the test case has been tested. Okay, so these are the points. There's one test case. Now let me just scroll down and see any other test case. So here, for example, acknowledgement for receiving the notification via SMS and email. I want to test this, so I create a test case. Similarly, post notify what email is going to be sent. Then okay, all of these are related to communications. Okay, all of these are related to SMS and email communications. Let me go above and see any other thing. Successful registration for receiving the notification. So once the pop-up comes, customer clicks on and submit on that, then successfully there should be information in our backend saying that this customer wants this particular variant and has raised a request as of this date and this time. Is that happening or not? So for that, you're creating a test case. So like this, all of these are the test cases related to how your feature should work. Test cases are getting created, then these will be validated by the business analyst. You will go through these things. If the QA is created, you will go through these things and tell them that okay, all these test cases are really covering the total functionality. If something is not getting covered, then you'll tell that also, that this is not covered, please create test cases for testing this particular additional feature. Maybe end of life, I don't see any end of life related point here. So maybe for end of life, I'll say end of life related, like when a product is obsolete and customer has still raised a request because that hyperlink was mistakenly available for that particular variant, then we need to show some other message. I don't see that test case here, can you create it? Okay, so you will validate the test cases, you will tell them if any scenario has got missed out, any negative scenario, alternate scenario, happy path, all of those things you'll look into it, edge cases. Okay, and then based on that, once this test case document is finalized, the QAs can then use it for running the test case execution and find out if everything is fine, running properly, or any test case has failed. If it has failed, they'll raise a defect and that will be fixed by developer, and then they have to retest and they have to close it. So this is what happens in a project. Okay. So we have been able to understand about what happens in a illustrative example. This is more or less the same thing which happens in every other project out there. But the point is that depending on the project, depending on the functionalities to be tested, sometimes there could be some technical details getting included. Sometimes there could be some domain related stuff that is getting added into your requirements. Sometimes there could be some, data migration related stuff. So you might have to involve into SQL and other things like that. So these all are specific to that project. That will happen later. First, you need to understand at a basic level what is required in every project. That is what I've tried to cover in this illustrative example. And I hope that you appreciate the effort that goes into these requirements documentation, because on the initial day when I just gave you a brief about the illustrative example saying that okay, there's just one link called notify me that you have to test, you might have thought, that's a very simple thing, no big deal, we can really close it. But as in how we went through the videos, you might have realized that a lot of these things have to be looked into that granular level to ensure that whatever you're developing is a foolproof, effective functionality which can be used by the clients, customers across regions. Okay, so that sort of understanding is very important for you to know what is the work that you do as a business analyst. Okay, I hope things are clear till here. uh, so this closes the illustrative example. Now we have to look into the agile part. Of course, we have looked in the previous video about how do you write a user story and acceptance criteria, but that is just one part of it. Like as a business analyst, when you have to work an agile project, there are a few things that you need to be aware of. So we'll try to look at a very high level of it. We cannot go into the entire details of agile because that will become a different course in it altogether. But from a BA's perspective, you need to know a few things. We'll try to touch upon those things. Okay. Uh, Again, coming to assignment, think of test cases that you can create for this particular application, or take any other application. You have so many applications out there. In fact, you can create test cases for this Excel itself. Like how should each of these tabs work? What are the different options that should be visible? What happens if it is successful? And all you can create for that. You can create for any, movie ticket booking app, or a concert app, or a ride hailing app like Uber or something like that, or any other thing. Now for any website out there, any newspaper website, anything, pick up something, think about it from a base perspective, think what are the requirements that will go into it, and if you have to create a test case for it, how would you create, use similar columns, and take the information. That is how you will get to know better about how it works. Okay, I hope this helps. We'll close this here. We'll meet in the next video and start looking into the agile part of it. Okay, thanks everyone.